Welcome everyone to Sharp Talk. My name is Tomas Alas and this is Doug Marcaida.
How you guys doing? In today's episode, we're going to talk about the sticks being used in Filipino martial arts, and are they just really sticks?
Well, let's cut into the tutorial. All right, Doug Marcaida, we're here in person, we're able to train, and we're happy to share it with the Sharp Talk audience. What are we doing today?
Today, we're going to touch on Sinawali. Sinawali is when you see Filipino martial artists use double sticks. Now, first of all, they're not sticks. They're really rattan. Rattan is fibrous, right? It's a grass. And the reason we train with rattan is that every time you see us hit, the vibrations transfer into those fibers, and they're not so vibratory that you're going to get a lot of tendonitis, right? There's a science with the absorption of that. Also, in training Filipino martial arts, a lot of times they hit the sticks. We don't fight sticks. We really think about hitting the limb or the person. But for safety in training, when you hear the tick, that means you're hitting the person. But these are basically the longevity of training. So when you do it, because you cannot keep trading blows and be able to show up in class again, right? So a lot of times we go with that. So here we go. The first thing we're going to do is, this is Sinawali, which means to weave, the weaving pattern. This is a common technique called heaven pattern, right? Where all the strikes are on the heaven here. So it's a 3 count of striking here. And what happens is, what you see right now, we can't move, normally we're moving. This is basically about learning how to weave the hands, weave with the sticks in the hand, which makes it a harder way to train. But at the same time, it teaches you patterns. Now, in this particular drill, it's a step of training. You have your shadow boxing in the air when you're doing all these motions, and then you have partner trainings where we will agree to follow these patterns for safety, but you never train that way in terms of once you have this, you don't do it anymore, because that can form a habit of, I lost my contact, I'm out of sequence, right? A lot of times you see them training here, and somebody goes, let's start again, right? What happens is, in the end, no matter what I go, whether I'm doing 1 stick or 2 sticks or a single stick, it doesn't matter, because in the end, fighting is never symmetrical, but you don't want to get caught with, let me reset.
So
it's a step.
So you're saying that by learning the pattern and sticking to the pattern, you can mess yourself up in the long run because you're just relying on that pattern and the clicks.
Exactly.
Instead of practicing what happens, you just keep going.
It's the same thing as footwork pattern. We use the forward triangle, reverse triangle. Once you understand how to use angles and how to move, you don't ever do that because nobody walks in the triangle. I'll get there tomorrow, right? You just basically put it into function. So when you understand that this is a crossbody block, meaning I'm across my body, my hands are coming from across and learning to move your hands that way. So when you see that's crossbody, now my backhand and jab, crossbody, backhand, learning how to weave my sticks in there. And you will see this as also something that also translates into blade work. Knowing how to properly deal with a cut and a cut and a cut. So as I'm doing the same thing here, I'm cutting. Good, Sinawali? So I'm still cutting. I'm learning to cut. Now nobody does this, but why is this important? Because I'm learning with one hand, I learned to cut a forehand. With the other hand, I learned to do a backhand and a backhand. So you have forehand, a backhand, and a backhand. Now we're going to equalize it by doing a forehand and a backhand and a backhand. Why? Because the backhand can be external, meaning outside of my hand, or under my hand. But at the same time, because I'm weaving any kind of backhands here, I make sure I don't cut my own arm. So you're used to knowing how to get it out of the way, how to be close quarter with your cuts. Whether you're concealed here, I can cut. I know my blade is ahead and it's not going to get cut. I don't end up doing this to myself. So when you see these motions, the hand motions in there. And then, of course, if you start to see it, it's still double stick training.
Doug, I noticed you have 1 blade, I have 2. I still don't feel any more secure, but how can one train with 1 blade against 2?
That's because I don't think I have 1 blade. I still have 2 blades. I still have 2 sticks in my hand. It's a mindset of training. So if I were to pattern that from the drill we just did, my stick that would have been here would have been parrying the blade or his stick, cutting with it, and then jamming. So I'm going with the flow. I'm scooping with the flow and I'm jamming. I'm going, I'm scooping with the flow and I'm jamming. I'm flowing, hit. Flowing, hit. Flowing, hit. Now the idea with this is that it doesn't really have to work this way because we are synchronized. But if we were just to do a singular thing, I could cut and stab and hit. But the same idea of that, this was followed up to that, but now the blade's here. Or this was followed to that to trail on, feed, cutting that. So it's not just that I'm following the pattern of Sinawali. Let's go across each other where I'm meeting the force.
Sure.
Now we're meeting the force, meeting the force, meeting the force. Meeting the force, meeting force. So here now I'm cutting the hand, checking the hand, cutting the hand. Checking the hand, cutting the hand, checking the hand. All depends on what angles you're entering. But these weaving patterns have a lot to do with sticks, knives. This is a training knife. For edge orientation, that's important because sometimes we need to see that. Sometimes when I'm feeding here, I could be edge palm down. Sometimes I can be palm up and then cut. And the reason for that, if we were to look at it empty-handed, palm down could be an eye poke and then a grab. You get palm down and then the grab, or palm down hit, or palm down check, so I can take that hand and destroy it, right? So I'm always thinking about where's the other hand going, and I can use that to take it, right? But the idea of the Sinawali with the hands is, as I'm hitting, of course, I would really be outside. That's why you use weapons. You can't trade blows, right?
I don't know if you guys can see this, but at least from my perspective, it slips outside of my peripheral. The way that your steps go, I can't even see you over here.
Well, you
after
have
I
to
do that.
move for camera angles.
Wow.
All in our videos, we have to be here, right? So, because we have tripods. So the idea is, if I'm doing Sinawali with here, if my sticks were down, it's palm down. But if I trained also, and I'll use this with this so you can be visual with doing the edge. This goes palm up thrust, and I turn the cut, which would translate to a poke and then I grab, so that dropping here would be a grab, and it's already seeking the piece of there. So if I just do a Sinawali pattern, I'm already working the pattern of Sinawali, and I can pick up here, it's there. So all this weaving is the weaving of what can come into this traffic, and that I can go with it, go against it, and go with it, right? So it's a faster way to do stuff, because remember, I'm not doing this with my hands. Imagine there was a knife in my hand, a stick in my hand, a ballpoint pen in my hand, a cup in my hand.
Amazing.
Whatever you want. Because these I preserve for loving. I don't want to hit anything with it. I'll pick up something with it, even if it's a little piece of rock, and then throw it to you, and then use the other parts of the body, right? But in training, Sinawali is more than just stick fighting, double stick fighting. There's a whole science to it, that if you break it down, even when you see me do single weapons, which is obvious, like they think of a weapon as something in the hand, even if you see me doing single weapons, what I want you to focus on is not my bladed hand, but my empty hand, and what my empty hand is doing as I'm doing all these motions, right?
Okay, you bring up a really good point, because on camera, when people see demos and stuff, they're like, oh, you have to slap before you cut. No. You're saying that we're using the Sinawali template as a way to guide, clear, and strike to set up your next shot?
To set up the shots. It's one, for example, if I want to get this, I got to make sure that's taken care of. Or if I want to get this, I got to make sure that that allows me to do that, because I'm still worried about the other shots going in. Or if that comes in, I'm here. So everybody works together. It's not just going here, stopping this. If I just went with this,
This is here.
that's it. But if I went with this, or if I do the Sinawali, or if I do the outside of the body, it's taken care of. And it's always constantly moving, slow motion, because I'm always saying, where is that hand? Don't kick me there as I'm working this piece. What about that piece? And always to the next multiple opponents. Because Sinawali is not fighting one person, fighting multiple persons everywhere. Except now, I only have one person to play with, but I'm thinking each particular thing is a person. That's a person, that's a person, that's a person, that's a person. How do I get to them? I take care of each person that way, right? And you develop the sense when you do Sinawali.
That's amazing. If people are interested in learning more, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Where can they go for more information?
Marcaida.com. We're on YouTube, of course.
Yes.
If you subscribe to your channels, we'll have little tutorials like this. But we're going to put out a lot of my online training on my website.
Awesome. You guys make sure to stay tuned for more Sharp Talk content coming to you just like this, valuable content you can't find anywhere else. So make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and turn on post notifications so you won't miss future Marcaida and Tomas Alas collaborations. Stay sharp.